Warm greetings from Geneva, Switzerland. I'm Reda Sadki. I'm the executive director of the Geneva Learning Foundation, and many of you know Yulia Yushchenko. She's the first certified Ukrainian-speaking TGLF facilitator and has just finished leading the second cohort in Ukrainian language.
Hello, colleagues, those I've not seen just for a few days and those I've not seen for a while. And hello to all those who are viewing us in recorded format. Today we have two languages, Ukrainian and English, so please use the interpretation function. And if need be, our esteemed interpreter Irina is helping us. If you have joined us already, please turn on the interpretation button and choose Ukrainian. And those who may have forgotten since Tuesday, when we saw each other last, I will remind you that this program is funded by EU for Health and is the result of cooperation between the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent and the Geneva Learning Foundation. If you have forgotten, I will remind you that this is a program focusing on psychological first aid for the children who suffered from the humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. And it has three aspects. Number one is peer learning. And the peer learning itself. Number two is insights. It's changing best practices, tools, and experience. And number three is what we at TGLF call the impact accelerator. I will tell you about all of these three areas, but number one, I want to tell you about some of the opportunities available to your organization and you personally. So, Reda and I will talk about partnership opportunities and the leadership circle for those who I hope will be interested in developing their leadership qualities as part of this program. There are a few questions we would like to put to you for reflecting on before you make a decision to join us in any capacity. And the first one is, are you already conducting training in your organization on PFA in any format for any objective? And the next question is, can you tell us either in writing or in the chat or by email how your organization supports volunteers or your staff uh, to exchange experience and learn from each other, just to strengthen the support from the organization? And that's a key question to start with. I will give you a few seconds to think about it. You can see now on the slide 4 squares, and they are divided between organizational partnership and leadership circle. Leadership circle focuses on individuals, and we will tell you about both formats. Um, and we'll start with the organizational partnership. If your organization um, supports this, then you have three opportunities. First is to develop staff and volunteers. Number two is to strengthen your organizational capacity. And number three, an important point is that you don't need to undertake any financial commitment for this. This organizational partnership can be also coordinated by an individual, and I know that we need some time to find a coordinator, and therefore we would like to give you the opportunity and give the opportunity to people who are motivated to join us and to contribute to also become this kind of focal point to coordinate this within the organization. And I will tell you in a moment. Before we move on, I'd like to pass the floor to Reda who will thank those who have joined us already as organizational partners.
Thank you very much, Julia. And we want to recognize and acknowledge the 160 organizations that primarily from Ukraine, but also organizations that from all over Europe who have expressed interest on the first time we had a meeting for organizational partners and leaders on the 4th of October. This is alongside, of course, the Red Cross societies that are participating in the project through the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent societies. Back to you, Julia, for the benefits of partnership.
And so you may ask, what are the benefits of partnership? We see 5 benefits. Number 1 is priority access for your staff and volunteers to the certificated program. And number 2 is early access to insights reports that we publish after each cycle of learning. Number 3 is you will receive a toolkit, best practices, and other resources. And number 4 is supporting your internal capacity building. Number 5 is the opportunity to set up ties with other organizations related to this area. And I will tell you, we will tell you how to do this.
So thanks, Julia. So there are 2 levels to the organizational partnerships. One is for an individual who says, "I really support the program, and I want to be the program's focal point for my organizations." And you can do this as an individual, whether or not your organization is formally entered into a partnership with the Geneva Learning Foundation or with the certificate program. And then the second is that more formal partnership, and we know that can take more time. So we'll share a simple template, what we call the letter of endorsement, through which your organization's leadership can really sign on to become a formal partner of the program. And now we also want to highlight, beyond the sort of 5 benefits, 3 aspects that speak to the long-term value that we would expect an organization to see. And the first thing is really more capable staff. Number 2 is really evidence-based improvements. And then we have some tools for measurement, actually, that we're going to develop with the organizational partners, with the leadership circle that we'll be telling you about next. And then really the ability to, over time, to contribute to knowledge across Europe beyond your own organization. Thank you, Julia. And here's just as you think about that and you consider these questions, just a quick recap of the benefits for the organization and the strength and staff capabilities, cross-organization networking, internal capacity building support, early access to insights report, and then priority access to staff. So what we've done, it's obvious that there's a glitch. There's been a glitch with the Zoom link that we shared for participants to access the Zoom studio. So we've just started the stream on in the Ukrainian announcements channel, so that participants who are not able to join in Zoom will figure out why later. Will at least be able to listen in to this briefing. Back to you. Actually, no. So one of the key questions that we'll be asking your organization is, will your organization recognize activities, so peer learning that you do in the certificate peer learning program, as credits for your continuing professional development? Now, it looks different depending on what field you're in. So if you're a doctor, it's a continuing medical education or CME. If you're an educator or a social worker, it may be something different, or that option may not exist at all. But we did want to ask this question, and we'd like, if you'd like to feedback and share some comments there, please let us know. And we're happy to engage further after this session. So now, the 5 steps to become a partner. So I'm going to go through these steps, and we're trying to keep it simple and clear for everyone. And first is to confirm your commitment as a focal point. So that, again, is your individual decision. Then the ideal situation is where your organization says, we support you as a focal point. But you can be the focal point, which simply means that you can share the information, the opportunities with colleagues in your organization. And if we identify you as the focal point, then we can actually support you in this way. Second is simply to share the latest call for applications. And so usually there's a very short deadline for the next call. Currently, the deadline is the 30th of October, which is just a few days away. So this is something that many of you have already done, but that we would like to ask you to do as a focal point within your organization, but also the networks that you participate in as soon as you can. And then we do have some tools and communication resources that you can use or that you can share with your social media or communications team, and so that's really important. Next is to actually complete. So the first two steps you can do without needing your organization to formally confirm that they're interested in engaging in this way. Steps 3, 4, and 5 is where you then engage your decision makers. So the first thing is to make sure that you are actually authorized to represent your organization in order to complete the partnership application. And then you can begin you can begin staff engagement. There's a letter of endorsement, which may or may not be appropriate. So it's a template that you can adapt that we recommend the organization share with all staff and volunteers to really inform everyone within the organization of the opportunities. So the steps to become a focal point, confirm with your organization either that you're allowed to serve as a focal point, or if that's complicated or difficult, or you're just not in the position to do that, you can still just be a kind of informal focal point. But those ultimate steps, 3, 4, and 5, are undoubtedly the ones that can be time consuming. So we like to combine both options, something that you can do right away for your organization, for colleagues in your organization, and then things that you can do over the long term. And Julia, for the folks on Telegram, if you can share, so I'd like to ask for two things. Tatiana, if you could reshare the Zoom link, just going to use, and then because we do obviously have a technical issue today, if you could share that in the Telegram channels. And then also, if you could share a message, what's going out on Telegram obviously does not have interpretation. So for interpretation, everyone will have to join, anyone who doesn't speak English would have to join this the Zoom studio. Back to you, Julia, to hear about now the leadership circle.
Hello, Reda, and I can see that some people are watching us on Telegram. Don't worry, we do have interpretation. Most of it will be in Ukrainian, though. And we are now talking about the part where we talk about your individual involvement in future activities and the question of leadership circle. As I said, this concerns individuals. This is an opportunity for you as a professional, regardless of your role in the organization, whether you are affiliated with any organization or entity. But a key priority and criterion for attending the leadership circle is your individual commitment to supporting children. And so this is available to any practitioner in any profession. In TGLF, as part of the leadership circle, those who have attended at least one peer learning program and received a certificate and is recognized as a graduate can be invited as a guide or mentor or facilitator in the next cohort. Thank you, Reda. And I have questions for you. I understand that not everybody can answer them in Zoom, but if you drop a line on Telegram, we'll be pleased to see it. What would you like to get from the contact with the overall leadership circle? And what would you like to hear from your colleagues in different countries? How would you and what contribution would you like to make? While you're thinking and writing your answers in the Telegram, I'd like to give you a few more details about the leadership circle. So, who is it for? As I said, it is open to all practitioners, those who attended our programs, and volunteers, managers, even members of the community you're working with. And Reda will tell us a bit more about the benefits.
Yes, thank you, Julia. So again, recognition and opportunities through the leadership circle will be basically offered on the basis of volunteer attendance and participation. So it's really by showing up, by participating, that you'll access more opportunities. So no organizational position is needed. You do not need, no matter how senior or junior, no matter what your role is, there's no specific qualification to join the leadership circle. Really, the key qualification, the key criterion is a commitment to improving support to children, and then, of course, the willingness to actually show up to participate and contribute to supporting your colleagues and thereby supporting children. So we estimate that it's probably participating in leadership circle activities could be somewhere between 2 and 4 hours a month. So that's like one afternoon or half an afternoon or a morning, part of a morning to contribute to the leadership circle. So
If I may, I would like to focus on the next slide because it will be important and they may not understand English, some of those who can't hear the Ukrainian translation. If I may, could I talk to the next slide? So all the opportunity is open to you. As Reda said, first of all, this is about early and priority access to future cohorts. Also, it's an opportunity to build your professional network. What you've done during online coffee breaks or group sessions, when you read feedback from your colleagues, all this will continue, and all of you will be able to stay in contact with other practitioners, including those abroad. And finally, to contribute, an opportunity to contribute to developing programs and forming future programs and activities in supporting children in Ukraine and outside Ukraine. And you may want to know how you would like to join the leadership circle. There are 3 steps. First is to attend at least one session of the leadership circle, and that way you become a participant. Number 2, we will ask you to share the latest documents and announcements with whoever you've been able to reach. And finally, respond to future calls for action and opportunities to join other training and learning groups with as many people as possible. And another question to reflect on, and you could respond on the Telegram. How would you like to contribute to the leadership circle? What role do you see for yourself? What would you be comfortable with in terms of the time commitment, the workload? Please be realistic. We have no minimum requirements. We just ask you to be realistic about what you can do.
thanks, Julia. And so on the one really important consideration, and there's a couple of considerations that are cross-cutting across both the leadership circle and organizational partners. The first one is real-world safety and ethics. So we'll ask you as leaders, and we'll ask your organizations to help us ensure not just compliance, but really ensuring the highest level of quality for child protection principles and the other considerations that you see here. So the question that we would like to hear from you about is what are your concerns with respect to safety, confidentiality, and child protection? If you'd like to reflect on those and think about those, and through the leadership circle and as a focal point or organizational partner, we'll be discussing these. And Yulia, I believe you're suggesting that you continue in Ukrainian, which where I think would be fine and which would enable folks on the Telegram channel to follow. So back to you.
Thank you, Reda. Indeed, the second end-to-end benefit, both for partner organizations and individuals, members of the leadership circle, is access to the ideas, instruments, and best practices that we use in the Geneva Learning Foundation. And this way, the organizational partners have early access to the toolkits to prepare, to adapt programs to their needs, and members of the leadership circle get early access to future training programs. So we would like to ask members of the leadership circle to read the case studies that colleagues have written, read the insights, and obviously at the end we will make this public so that everyone can get access. But leaders and partners have early access to these insights to add their voice to the finalization of these toolkits. Speaking of tools, a good example of what this means is what we learned from the application process in the initial phase, in the pilot phase, from the Ukrainian and English language groups in summer, which turned into a study, these insights. And this is what we present in our thematic groups when we talk about experience, the experience of more than 170 practitioners. This is a very good collection. And I have two questions. First of all, have you seen these insights? Have you found anything useful there? And if you don't know how to find it, let us know, we'll help. And the second question, if you said yes to the first, have you shared these insights with your colleagues in your organization? And if so, did they find it useful or interesting? And we can see that we are giving early access to our organizational partners and focal points in these organizations who try to get this information out to their colleagues. In future, we would like to involve you in preparing these insight reports and also name you as participants, and we will definitely ask you to share our insights, especially from the second cohort that you are from. And we hope you will be among those who will help us formulate this story further. And to increase this, we have a practical exercise that we already did during our final meeting as part of the learning program. And we'd like you to do after this meeting, if you are watching or if you're watching us on screen, then now, um, uh, please share this with your colleagues as well. Um, It will help us if you access these links and share these links with as many people as possible. At a slightly higher level, if you know anyone within your organization responsible for communication, we have a whole partnership toolkit for them, um, with which you can use to share insights, to share the application process. So if their communications officer is too busy, tell them that it's ready to go. They don't need to do anything. They just need to post it. And so if you know anybody responsible for communication, please offer them this toolkits, these insights that they can share in your organization channels. If it is a big organization, you might have some information newsletters or WhatsApp groups, a Telegram channel, or something else where information is shared with beneficiaries or partners. Please, this partner toolkit will help you. Another question I have for you as regards this early access aspect to future events. Do you think that the insights from practitioners, similar to what's in the first report, can it be useful for your organization? Why yes, and why not? Uh, have they already been useful? Have you found anything useful? There are more than 700 pages. And the final part of the presentation is what happens in future. We have told you, as you know, about peer learning, and you know that the continuous cycle of learning is about your psychological first aid to children. And you may remember that at the end, there was a section about your project idea that's based on your case study. And indeed, to use the experience you have that would be useful for children, we consider this as one of the main points in this continuous cycle of action. And in 2025, we will move on to what we call phase two, or impact accelerator, to supporting the implementation. It contains three steps. Number one is to invite everyone from leaders and partners to staff and volunteers to develop those who want to support children, develop a project or an initiative. And number two is to develop and use some simple indicators to measure progress in achieving results. And number three, results in health outcomes. Number three is to continue learning together with your colleagues and continue peer learning all around Europe, focusing on the joint experience. Speaking of impact accelerator, you can see on the left what our organizational partners can do. They can support projects to support personnel, and it has its own benefits because staff and volunteers are motivated to do what they have thought about and motivated to do this better. And in practice, you can do something small, maybe even at the individual level or anything. And we will ask organizations who are partners to support their staff and volunteers in their attempt to implement these projects. And number two is we are developing a toolkit to measure institutional impact and to understand whether the health outcomes are improved as part of these local projects and initiatives. We believe this could be useful both for individuals and partner organizations. And again, I'd like to mention the development of individuals' potential. And one of the benefits is that for those who agreed to support our future learning activities, there will be an opportunity to become a paid facilitator. In addition, we also urge people to volunteer for us to support the implementation of projects locally. And we hope that these connections between colleagues will promote the implementation of the projects they come up with. And ultimately, we will invite the leadership circle to the development to join the development of toolkits to help PFA.
Thank you, Yulia. So next, we do have, and I'm going to say this in English. We'll be sharing the recording out. We just found I don't know if Yulia, if you can explain for those who we managed to send the Zoom Studio stream to Telegram, but of course it's in the wrong language. If you could say that and apologize to the group because we have found the technical error that prevented everyone who registered for this session from actually joining the Zoom Studio. So if you could explain that. I know it's being interpreted, but also for those on Telegram, if you could explain those 2 points.
Ми дуже перепрошуємо за технічну несправність, яка в нас виникла і через яку ви не змогли
We apologize for the technical difficulty that prevented you from joining. The Telegram broadcast doesn't have translation, but the recording on YouTube will have the interpretation. So we apologize for this technical fault.
All right. And so then we did have something special for participants who did register for the Zoom Studio. We'll now be offering this to everyone, and it is facilitated access for your colleagues. Basically, in the past, and those of you who are alumni today had to complete a rigorous application, which on the average took 60 minutes to complete. What we would like to do is now that we have established contact and trust and the collaboration with you, is to say that if there are colleagues from your organization who would like to join the next cohort in Ukrainian language or in English, so starting on 4th of November and 25th of November respectively, we are sharing the links so that your colleagues can directly register in Zoom, and they do not need to complete the application to start the program. However, those who get to the point where they submit a case study, they will be asked to complete the application later as a certification requirement. And then there's one more really special invitation that we extended to the first cohort, and we saw alumni joining the second cohort in particular on days 2 and 3, and we really appreciate that commitment to help and support your colleagues is really for alumni, so those who have successfully completed the program and earned certification to join as guides, mentors, or facilitators. So that's the next to last slide. Obviously, with this issue, we'll be sharing the recording and organizing a follow-up session. In fact, the next Leaders and Partners sessions will be on 1st November. Then and there we'll be preparing for cohort 3 in Ukrainian and cohort 2 in English. We'll be looking at. In the meantime, we will send you the invitation to become a focal point and to commit to apply for your organization to be a partner of the certificate program. On the 22nd will be the induction of cohort 3 Ukrainian language participants and preparation of cohort 2 English. So we'll be looking to dialogue with organizational partners, focal points, and members of the leadership circle. And again, you are a member by participating. And then we'll be looking for a final meeting for 2024 on the 13th of December with the with the completion of cohort 2 English. So we'll have a new group joining and we'll do this briefing again. Hopefully we'll have worked out the technical issues by then, and then we'll be announcing the Impact Accelerator, and we'll be sharing the announcement and the information about the Impact Accelerator with everyone who has participated, contributing, starting with members who are focal points, whose organizations are partners, who are members of the leadership circle, and who are alumni will always come first, even though, of course, we also want these opportunities to be available for everyone. All right. Thank you, Yulia. I think back to you, perhaps, with words to close this briefing, which will be a recorded briefing, and we'll follow up to make sure that everyone can share their responses to these questions, because part of the point of this session was, in fact, to listen and learn with you about these different issues. So once again, thank you, and Yulia, back to you for a closing word.
Thank you, Reda. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in different formats, despite all the technical problems. And hopefully, we will continue working with you in different formats. And we hope that you will come forward as a focal point or or as a facilitator or mentor or guide, and let us know in the next cohort. Let us know. We will send you all the materials. I will be pleased to work with you in this format and continue our staying in touch as someone who is not indifferent to what's happening in Ukraine and its children. And I hope to be with you and have a good weekend.
And next Friday, we'll be really looking at reassembling, reconvening to look at who is ready to become a focal point, who is ready to work with their organization so that the organization can become a partner of the certificate program. And then for the alumni, who is ready to contribute to support their colleagues in the third Ukrainian language cohort. So once again, thank you. And with wishing you a wonderful weekend and look forward to seeing you next Friday with these technical glitches resolved. Thank you and goodbye.